All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready.
Brooks Barfield for mom, Alexis Jasso. She is present and ready, as am I.
Jerry Morales for father, Elijah Castillo, Your Honor. He is present. We are ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children, here and ready.
Okay. We're working against some issues. I'll just kind of let everybody know up front. I have a Floyd County adversary case scheduled at 1 o'clock. So we will break in this case for sure for me to do that. I can try to find out as quickly as I can how, how contested that may be or may not be. And then Mr. Morales has got something at 2:30. So we'll just, when we get to that point, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Ms. Taylor, do you have any restrictions this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am. I thought we were going to be done by 1 o'clock. So I have a doctor's appointment at 1:30.
Okay. So that pretty much answers that. So we've got about an hour. So, Mr. Trout, I don't know. Do we want to go for an hour on this, or do we want to try to look for, we can call and recess and look for a different date where we've got, a minimum of a half day, if not a full day?
Judge, I would ask that, I have Miss Bailey here. She's on the original removal and then, what happened in the middle of the case. So if we could at least get through Miss Bailey so she doesn't have to come back,
Okay.
If we can do that.
All right. I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay. Call your first witness then.
Call Amy Bailey, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bailey, if you will, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give on trial today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bailey, would you state your name for the record, please?
Amy Bailey.
Ms. Bailey, how are you employed?
I'm an investigator with the Child Protective Services.
And how long have you been in that position?
4 years.
And are you familiar with the case involving the children Avian Villa and Aiden Ramos?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with that case?
I was the investigator assigned.
And how did the department become involved in the case with these children?
We received a report alleging domestic violence between Miss Hasso and her boyfriend, Mr. Garza.
Okay. And were you ever able to make contact with mom and dad?
I was able to make contact with Miss Hasso and her boyfriend, but not the alleged father of the children.
Okay. At any point during your investigation, did mom give you the name of the possible father?
Yes.
And what was that name?
Elijah Castillo.
Okay. And you said mom's name was Miss Hasso. Do you remember her first name?
Alexis.
Okay. And when were you able to make contact with mom?
I made contact on March 18th, 2022.
And where were you able to make contact with mom?
At a neighbor's home.
Okay. And
where she was living as the neighbor.
Okay. I'm gonna ask that question again just because I kind of interrupted you. You said at a neighbor's home, a neighbor to who?
To Alexis Hasso.
Okay. And did mom state when she had moved into that home?
I don't think she gave me an exact date. She just said that she had just moved into that apartment.
Okay.
And that her mom stayed with her sometimes.
Okay, so it was an apartment that Ms. Hasso had on her own.
Yes.
Okay. Had the department been involved working with Ms. Hasso prior to this?
Yes.
Okay. And from the records, do you remember what the department was involved for?
She was working with Family Base Safety Services because she had been arrested for DWI and had the children in the vehicle with her.
And do you recall how long they had been working with Ms. Hasso?
I believe, let me look. I don't know the exact date, but I believe it was around April of 2021.
Okay. So what did y'all try to do to prevent a removal at the time? What were your steps?
We, the family-based worker and I implemented a PCSP with a maternal cousin.
Okay. And how did that go?
That only lasted 3 days, and the maternal cousin called and said that she had things going on and would not be able to be placement for the children any longer.
During that time, was Ms. Hasso screening for you?
Yes.
Okay. And did the screens have concerns?
Yes.
Okay. And was that all during your investigation?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you meet with Ms. Hasso to discuss the screens?
Yes.
And what was her response to that?
She stated that the screen should be negative. We informed her that it was positive, and I asked what it would be positive for. She said marijuana, and I informed her that it was also positive for cocaine.
Okay. Did you ask about alcohol at that time?
The family-based worker, Ms. Rosner, did ask her about alcohol, and she said it would probably be positive as well.
Okay. But when the screens finally came back, it was the cocaine and the marijuana that it was positive for?
Yes.
Okay. Due to the maternal cousin not wishing to do the PCSP anymore, was it decided that in the best interest of the children to remove at that time?
Yes.
And that was based upon the screens coming back around the same time the maternal cousin would not follow through?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that was in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall where the children were placed at that time?
When they were removed from the cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
In a foster home.
Okay. Were you ever able to speak with the father?
No, I was not.
Okay. Did you make attempts to get in touch with him?
Yes, I did.
And what were your attempts at that time?
I ran a check and came back with 2 possible Elijah Castillo's in Amarillo. I went to both of those addresses. At the first one, I left a business card, never heard back from anybody. The second one, I was able to make contact with a gentleman who stated that his son was named Elijah Castillo, but that he does not live in Amarillo. He did pass along my information to that gentleman, and I received a phone call that Elijah Castillo that called me stated that he now lives in New York, and he did not know who Alexis Hasso was.
Okay. So during your time in the investigation, the report you ran, the people you made contact with, you don't believe were the Elijah Castillo, that's the father in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. As far as other family members, were there any other family members besides the maternal cousin? Had you been given any other names?
No.
Okay.
Judge, I think we lost Miss Taylor.
Sorry, Judge, y'all froze and then I was gone. And they were talking about the father and contact with him.
I will back up to that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Bailey, could you tell us again your contact with the father?
I did not have any contact with the father in this case.
Your steps that you went through, sorry, your steps you went through to try to contact the father.
I ran a check and came up with two possible Elijah Castillos in Amarillo. I went to both of those addresses. At the first one, there was no answer at the door, so I left a business card. No one ever called me from that address. I went to the second address and made contact with a gentleman who stated that his son was named Elijah Castillo, but that he no longer lived at that residence. He passed my information along to his son, and that Mr. Castillo did call me. He stated that he lives in New York and that he did not know who Alexis Hosso was.
Okay. So from during your time in the investigation, the checks you ran and the names that came back to you, you do not believe those are the same Elijah Castillo that is the father in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. Did mom had given you the name? Did she give you any kind of contact information?
No, she said that she did not have a phone number, an address, didn't know any of his relatives' names.
Okay. As for with mom, you discussed the maternal aunt or cousin, I believe it was, that the PCSP was done with. Did mom give you any other family names that you could look at?
No. She had spoke with Jana Rosner, the family-based worker, on that aspect of it. And as far as I know, she did not provide anyone else to Miss Rosner.
Okay. So the one family member that you were able to do a PCSP with is the only one you knew of?
Yes.
Okay. And that person backed out after a few days?
Yes, sir.
And so not being able to find the alleged father, the concerning drug screens with mom, and not having the PCSP anymore, it was made to decision was made to remove the children for their safety.
Yes, sir.
And you believe that was in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Barfield?
Thank you. Ma'am, when was the last time you did work on this case?
It was April 7th, 2022.
Okay. And have you done any follow-up other than preparing for your testimony today on what Alexis has done or not done in regards to working services and cooperating with the department?
No, sir.
Okay. So would you agree with me that everything you testified to up to this point is pretty dated information?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Morales?
Thank you. Miss Bailey, given the grounds you stated, Mr. Castillo was a non-offending parent, is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe you stated that during your course of your investigation, you were never able to contact him?
Correct.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
Ms. Bailey, you said your first contact with mom was March 18th. At that point, however, had she already been involved with the department for 11 months?
Yes.
Had you been a part of that family-based case that had been ongoing?
No, ma'am.
As part of your investigation, did you work with that family-based caseworker to find out kind of what the status was with mom?
Yes, ma'am.
During that family-based case, was mom given an opportunity to work services specifically regarding drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
Did she take advantage of those services?
No.
And 11 months later, she was testing positive for cocaine and marijuana?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if she ever started any of those family-based services?
I do not know.
So the department had worked with Ms. Faso for almost a full year to try to prevent removal, correct?
Yes.
And pass witness.
All right, Mr. Trout.
Yes, ma'am, real quick. Ms. Bailey, you'd stated that originally mom had become involved, or the department had become involved with mom due to an arrest. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the arrest was for driving while intoxicated with one of the children in the car?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask to go ahead and admit exhibits 4, 5, and 6. They are the indictment for driving while intoxicated with a child under 15 is exhibit number 4. Exhibit number 5 is the judgment of conviction on that. And exhibit number 6 is a supplemental order amending probation terms. Those are all certified copies.
All right, any objections to 4, 5, or 6?
No objection.
Objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner exhibits 4, 5, and 6 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll pass. With no further questions, I'll pass, please.
All right, anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Bailey?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then is Ms. Bailey free to go? Can she be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Bailey, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. It's very nice to see you. And
Thank
I hope
you.
you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Mr. Trout, do you have any shorter witnesses?
No, ma'am. I believe it's going to be let me see. Give me 1 second, Your Honor.
While he's looking, it looks like 1 o'clock on the 11th of July. Is that working, Judge, for a reset? It looks
That's
like.
that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's the best day for me. If not, we're having to call judges because of jury trials, which is fine. But that seems I'm already on your docket that day too. So I think that works out best for.
Well, we have enough stuff set that morning. I'm afraid it'll take us most of the morning to get through that. So
Sure.
I think we might as well just say 1 o'clock, but
Yep.
Everybody come, prepared for the duration, so to speak.
Judge, I'm sorry, Brooks.
No, go ahead, Daniel.
I was supposed to look at the docket real quick. I know that I had a few finals set today. I can't remember what's going on with all of those.
Well, let's look at them and talk about it, because if we could start earlier, it would be good. But
If I remember, I think the Garcia and Orta case, I think we have to reconvene on a mediation on the July 2nd on that one. Isn't that right, Brooks?
I think, let me pull my calendar up. I think you're right on that.
We may be able to get something done on that. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Yeah.
And then the rest is after finals, it looks like, but then the one other final, the Gonzalez, which Brooks is also on.
Yeah. Orta's at 1 o'clock to reconvene that mediation. Yeah.
So maybe we'll have those, but it's all after finals and the 3 finals that morning, Judge. Hoping I can get through all those that morning. But other than that, 11th looks fine.
You think there's a possibility we could start even, at 11 or something?
I'm good with it. As soon as we get through the others, I'm good going into it.
Your Honor, it looks like lots of them are the after finals, and although I've still got to check with everybody, I am betting that I'd be able to sign off on several of them.
Well, we have a continuation of another final. It looks like already that morning, correct?
Which
Yes.
continuation is that, Judge? I can't remember.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
So, I don't know how long that's going to take. Let's just leave it set at 1.
Go.
And so I don't know at this point, then Ms. Trout, I don't know whether you want to take up another witness or we want to just recess here and start fresh on the 11th.
Judge, I got one witness I could call real quick. I could call Mr. Castilla real quick. But if you want me to just wait, I can wait.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I'd call Mr. Castilla.
Okay, Mr. Castilla. Can you still hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're going to need to speak up for me. And then you need to raise your right hand for me, sir.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Castilla, would you state your name for the record, please?
Elijah Castillo.
And Mr. Castilla, you are the father to Avian and Aiden?
Yes, sir.
And you did a paternity test during this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were found to be the father of both?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that I believe it was January 9th of 24, you were adjudicated by this court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where are you currently?
I am in Montford, TDCJ facilities.
Okay. And you're there on 2 different charges?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, I would ask to admit exhibit number 19, 20, 21, and 22. They are the indictments and the judgments for the 2 cases that Mr. Castilla is on. They're both certified. They're all 4 certified judgments.
No objection.
No objection?
I didn't hear Mr. Barfield.
Oh, I have no objections, Judge.
Okay. All right. And that's 19, 20, 21, and 22?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Petitioners exhibits 19 through 22 will be admitted.
And Judge, for the record, exhibit number 19 is the indictment for a burglary of a habitation. Exhibit number 20 is the judgment adjudicating guilt, sentencing Mr. Castilla to 5 years. 21 is the indictment on the second charge of burglary of a hab. And 22 is the judgment adjudicating that case, also giving 5 years. Mr. Castilla, how long have you been aware of this case?
since the caseworker approached me in county jail, which
Okay.
I don't remember the exact date.
Okay. At that time, you were just the alleged father, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you ever offered any services to work?
Not, no, only when I was incarcerated. During my incarceration, I was.
Okay. During that time, did you refuse to work any services or start any services till you were known to be the father?
No, sir.
Okay. You never said that you didn't want anything to do with the case because you weren't sure?
No, sir. I never said anything. Yeah.
Okay. Have you started working any services at this time?
No, sir.
Have you ever been given parenting pack or anything that you could do while you were in jail?
Well, I have participated in classes that enhance my parenting skills, but that's about it.
Okay. Were those classes provided through the jail and through the packet that the worker has sent you?
No, sir.
Okay. Were those just on your own?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you discussed with the worker on whether those would qualify for any of your services?
No, sir, but I do have the certificates for them.
Okay. Have you turned those over?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever received a copy of your family plans?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just the other day, did you meet with the worker
Yes, sir.
and you went over those family plans and signed them?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 24. It's the family plan of service that was filed with the court on 6/24, and they are the signed copies from Mr. Custodian.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Objection.
Exhibit, I'm sorry, which one?
24.
Oh, that came in the second email.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I set them in this morning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Petitioner's exhibit 24 will be admitted.
Mr. Castilla, were you aware of the family plans and needing to work services prior to 4 days ago or a few days ago?
Yes, sir, but I was giving them over my tablet, which I wasn't able to return or sign.
Okay. During the course of this case, were you aware that you had an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever try to make contact with them, letters, calls, or anything while you've been incarcerated?
I sent one letter to St. Francis Ministries, but not directly to my lawyer.
Okay, but you were aware you had an attorney?
Yes, sir.
And did you ever reach out to find out what you needed to be doing or could be doing?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Barfield?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At any time, did you what do you believe would be in the best interest of your children at this point?
Well, I have no idea, honestly. I tried to get my mother to get custody, but that didn't happen due to reasons that you guys know about. I guess a frequent visitor, and since I'm incarcerated, I wasn't able to do anything. She's going to be one of my main support persons, so that's going to cause issues for me. And also that frequent visitor is also someone who comes to visit me very often. But I have no idea, honestly, at this point of what I could do. I did, try to take classes in drug awareness and parenting skills and stuff like that. Not knowing about
Let me ask you
case.
this. When is your projected release date?
My projected release date is in August 18th, 2024.
Okay. All right. And do you have an opinion as to whether you believe your children should be placed with their mother?
I don't know. I don't want to say anything about that.
Okay. And currently you're unable to care for the children due to the situation that you're in. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Morales?
Thank you. Mr. Castillo, did you actually make parole sometime last week?
Yes, sir.
And that was approved. And are you aware of your exact date of release?
No, sir. Just the month of July.
Okay. What are your plans for whenever you're released?
Well, I already have multiple job opportunities, working in construction and stuff like that. I just plan to get on my feet and try to complete my parole program.
Are you going to have to report to a halfway house for any period of time after your release?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And where do you plan to parole to? Like what city, or with a parent or something like that?
Yeah, I'm planning to parole to my mother's house where, they said kids weren't going to be able to be there.
And does she currently reside in Amarillo?
Yes, sir.
And in the event that your children are unadopted at the time, will you able to work? Will you be able to secure or work services, even if you have to pay for them yourself upon your release?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand that includes things like parenting, counseling, well, basically everything that Ms. Novak went over on your family plan of service. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Did you see anything that you in that plan of service that you might be unable to complete? Is there anything that you think you might have difficulty once you're released?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Ball?
Mr. Castillo, when did you become incarcerated?
About a year and a half ago.
So back in 2022?
Yes, I think, yes.
And is that when you went into county jail?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
What month?
I don't exactly remember. I wasn't in Mississippi. That's where I was arrested originally at, and I was there before I got expedited into Texas.
Were you living in Mississippi at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been living in Mississippi?
For a few years.
When was the last time that you saw Aviana and Aiden?
I don't think I've ever seen them.
So you don't have a relationship with the kids?
No, ma'am.
Pass witness.
Okay. Mr. Trout, any further questions of this witness?
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more. Mr. Castillo, you said you were arrested in Mississippi and then brought back to Texas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you arrested in Mississippi on other charges or on these warrants?
It was on these warrants.
Okay, so you don't have anything pending out of Mississippi?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any criminal history out of Mississippi at all?
No, sir.
You stated
These charges are the only ones I have. They're from whenever I was 17 years old.
Okay. You said you answered to your attorney a while ago that your projected release date is August 18th of 2024.
Yes, sir.
What is your maximum sentence date?
I believe it's in 2027.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask just to admit exhibit number 9. It's the printout from the state's website, TDCJ website, stating the dates. The that we're discussing in his maximum date.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner exhibit 9 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions, Your Honor. I'll pass witness.
Okay, Mr. Barfield, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Morales,
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Okay, I think then this is a logical place to go ahead and recess. So I'll see everybody back on the 11th. And Mr. Morales, I guess you'll need to make arrangements to have Mr. Castillo present again.
And Mr. Castillo, if you're released, you need to contact me. Yeah, you can Google me. My number is easy to find. But I need to know how to contact you so that I can get you the link, or you need to come into my office because we're going to reconvene this on July 11th at 1 o'clock. And if you're not there, obviously you need to make arrangements to appear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. And hope all of you have a good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, I want to ask Ms. Novak and Ms. Brown real quick. The 11th's good for y'all, correct? I don't want an email in a few days saying I'm not going to be there. So are y'all good that day?
Works for me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
One of the department's main witnesses in the case is ill this afternoon. I'm not going to make her try to testify when she's got a stomach bug. So we're going to reset to August 15th at 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm sorry about this, but it's just one of those things that can't be helped. We've got, in between now and then, I'm out for a week, Ms. Zavala's out, and then there's advanced family law, and it's just, that's as fast as we could do it. So I'm very sorry for the delay. Mr. Castillo?
Yes, ma'am.
We needed a little information. Have you heard anything more about your release?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay. So do you still have to complete certain things before you leave there, or what can you tell me?
As far as I know, all I'm doing is just waiting to be released.
Okay. Will you have to do it once you're released? Are you done, or do you have to report to any kind of, halfway house or anything else?
No, I would just be reporting to my regular parole as far as I know.
Okay. All right. And are you going to parole back to this area?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so, yes.
Okay. You may have told me that before. I can't remember if you said you're going to parole your mom's address.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, Amarillo, Texas, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, stay in touch as best you can with Mr. Morales about that. If for some reason you were released prior to the 15th of August, we'd want to be able to make sure you either could be in his office or somewhere where you could complete the hearing with us.
Yes, ma'am.
But otherwise, we'll have you brought in again on the 15th.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, then. Okay. I appreciate everybody. So sorry. And everybody have a good rest of your day and good rest of your week. All right, then. At this time, I will recall cause number 96568D in the interest of Aiden Ramos and Aviana Villa. This is we're resuming our final today that was originally called back on July 11th of 2024. We took substantial testimony that day. And so we're here to try to finish this up today. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, then. we'll go ahead and take announcements since we're here on a new day.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Brooks Barfield for Alexis Jasso. We're both present ready.
Gary Morales for respondent father Elijah Castile. Your Honor, he executed an affidavit of relinquishment earlier today, and so he does not plan on attending this hearing. And I'm ready.
Sorry. Stacy Zabala on behalf of Aviana and Aiden.
Okay. Looking back at notes. All right, department had called Amy Bailey. We took her testimony. Department had offered exhibits 4, 5, and 6, which were admitted. That witness was passed and cross-examined and I think released at that time.
And Your Honor, I think that is what I also had. I think I also called Dad that day and admitted some other exhibits.
You did. You then called Mr. Castillo, and then exhibits 19, 20, 21, and 22 were admitted. Also, exhibit 24 was admitted, and exhibit 9.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we recessed after taking his testimony.
Correct, Your Honor. I believe that is what I have also.
All right, then. You want to call your next witness?
Yes, ma'am. I will call Yolanda Novak, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Novak, if you'll raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trach, you may proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, would you state your name for the record, please?
Yolanda Novak.
And Ms. Novak, how are you employed?
St. Francis Ministries. I'm a permanency specialist.
And are you familiar with the case involving Avian and Aiden, the Villa Ramos case? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Avian, Villa, and Aiden Ramos.
Aviana, yes.
All right. Did you receive what I just sent out, exhibit number 25? Did it come through an email?
Yes.
Okay. And can you open that email?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Dad, Elijah Castilla, did he execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 15th day of August, 2024?
Yes.
Did he sign that affidavit?
Yes, he did.
Was it notarized?
Scrolling. Yes, it is.
Were there 2 witnesses?
Yes, there are.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the children?
Okay, you cut out. Can you repeat that?
Did the department consent to being the designated managing conservator of the children?
Yes.
And was that filed today, August 15th of 2024?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 25 is the file marked copy of the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment of parental rights that Ms. Novak just testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, then the petitioner's exhibit 25 will be admitted.
Ms. Novak, are you asking the court today to terminate the parental rights of Elijah Castilla as to Avian Villa and Aiden Ramos based upon the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Yes.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the children?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, you're familiar with this case. Are you the current caseworker?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how long have you been working this case?
Since November 2023.
Okay. When St. Francis first begins cases, what's your first steps in beginning a case?
They have an adversary hearing and then a status hearing. And we reach out to the parents to meet with them to develop a family plan of service.
Okay. Tell me what a family plan of service is.
Family plan of service is a tool that we use to address the parental behaviors that have caused the safety threats and the removal of the child or children. It's an assessment that we use. We evaluate it and review it throughout the life of the case to document the progress or lack of progress from the parents for the required services.
Okay. Was that done in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was mom given family plans of service?
She was.
Okay. Can you look at exhibit number 1 for me?
Yes, sir, I have it.
Okay. And can you tell me what exhibit number 1 is?
The first page is the notification of completed family plan of service.
Okay. So is this a family plan of service?
Yes, it is.
Is this a family plan of service that was generated for this case?
Yes.
And is this the family plan of service that was generated for mom?
Yes, it's the one in the beginning. It's not the current one.
Okay. But we've been in this case for a long time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was this family plan of service filed with the court?
Yes.
Okay. Was it filed in May of 2022?
Yes.
Did mom sign this family plan of service?
Yes, she did on May 9th of 2022.
Okay. Are family plans of service made orders of the court?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And throughout this case, has mom's family plan of service been made in order of the court?
Yes.
Exhibit number 2, what is that?
Notification of completed family plan of service?
Okay. So this is another family plan of service that was generated in this case.
Yes.
During the life of cases, depending on how things are going, are family plans ever amended, updated, additional services required, or new things developed that need to be done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When was this family plan of service filed?
3/9/23.
Okay. So about almost a year after the first one, correct? You have to speak up, Ms. Novak.
Sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibits number 1 and number 2, their family plans of service that were just testified to.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, petitioners exhibit 1 and 2 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, during the course of this case, what was mom ordered to do through her family plans of service?
Parenting, OSAR screening, maintain contact with the worker, maintain their own transportation, drug screening. In the beginning, she had relational behavior therapy, maintain stable housing, complete a psychosocial, individual counseling, a domestic violence support group, maintain stable employment.
Good. Did mom work services in this case? In the beginning, the first 2 family plans, did she work those services?
She did.
Did mom drug screen for us?
Been like throughout the life of the, she has sometimes, yes.
Okay. And what do you mean by she has sometimes?
Sometimes she has not gone as a no-show.
Okay.
And that's what I meant.
Okay. How often does that happen? The no cause, no show?
I didn't count them, but there's
Just
some on there
approximately.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Novak, just approximately. I mean,
several.
Has she not shown up for drug screens here lately?
Correct, she has not.
Okay. So mom did some drug screening for us. Did she have a good many negatives throughout the case?
She had some, yes.
Okay. Did she have some positive drug screens during the case?
Yes, she did have some of those.
Okay. And were those positives, what were they positive for?
I have one in the court for January 24, 2023. It was a hair strand positive for cocaine metabolite.
Okay. Do we have issues with hard drugs, alcohol? What is mom's main issue throughout the case?
Since then, it's been alcohol.
Okay. Can you tell me what, well, let me back up. When was the last time mom drug screened for you? Or alcohol screened?
In May.
Okay.
It was May 30th.
Okay. And was it a negative or a positive at that time?
It was negative.
Okay. And was that a UA or a hair?
It was a UA.
Okay. So mom's been kind of hit or miss on whether she tested positive, whether she no-showed, or whether she was negative throughout the case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of roller coasters. Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibits number 7 and 8. They are the affidavit of business records for the drug screens throughout this case that have been filed with the court and served to parties.
No objection.
Object as to the contents of the results themselves, but not as to the content of what's printed on the document.
No objection.
All right, did you say 7 and 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 7 and 8 will be admitted, as to, then the documents speak for themselves. I don't think the witness is qualified to interpret any of that data,
Yes.
but she can certainly read it. Just tell us what it says.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Novak, just to kind of lay history out, can you look at exhibit number 7 for me?
Yes.
Okay. On the second page of that exhibit, the first drug screen you see, is that for mom?
Yes.
Okay. And this was from December of 2022, is that correct? Top right.
Yes.
Okay. And this was for a hair follicle, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was it a positive drug screen?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So kind of in the middle of the case, family plans were done in March of 22 when the first family plans were done?
Yes.
Okay. So about 9 months after family plans were done, we had positive drug screens for mom, correct? You don't have to speak up, I can hear you.
Sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now you know how we all feel, Mr. Trout.
Ma'am?
So now you know how we all feel, Mr. Trout.
Well, in my world, I'm speaking loud. I don't know why it doesn't come through that way sometimes. So mom, after that, mom started a new family plan. Is that correct? After
Yes.
that drug screen. And then she worked through services again.
Yes.
Okay. Was mom on did she ever go to an ISF program or anything like that?
Yes, she did.
Okay. When did she go through that?
I don't know the start date, but I have that she was attending in September of 2022.
Okay. Do you know when she got out of that ISF program?
I have that she was released on October 20th of 2022.
Okay. So within 2 months of getting out of a ISF program, she tested positive for cocaine on a hair follicle. Okay. Do you know, well, back up just a second. Your Honor, I would ask to admit, and it's going to be a few documents here, but exhibits 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. They are certified copies of criminal case involving Ms. Hasso.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, petitioners 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 will be
Correct.
admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, we'll try to get through these kind of quickly on what they are. If you would tell me what exhibit number 11 is.
Indictment.
Okay, is that an indictment for tampering to fabricate physical evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And exhibit number 12, what is that?
Order of deferred adjudication.
Okay. And this was mama's order to defer for 3 years, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then exhibit number 13, what is that?
A motion to proceed with adjudication of guilt or original charge for Alexis.
Okay. And is that, sorry, and then what is exhibit number 14?
Proceed with adjudication of guilt or original charge.
Okay, and is that an amended motion to proceed?
Yes.
And then exhibit number 15, what is that?
Just says order.
At the bottom of the first paragraph, in the bold writing, the last sentence, what does that say?
It is therefore ordered, adjudicated, and decreed by the court. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm gonna back up. Bottom of the last paragraph.
Oh, I'm sorry. Extended original community supervision period for 1 year and amended to include ISF as part of a plea agreement.
Okay. So is that when mom was ordered to ISF?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is exhibit number 16?
Supplemental order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And then exhibit number 17?
Supplement order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And then exhibit number 18.
Supplemental order of amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And beside the number 300, what does that sentence say?
As an alternative to incarceration, the original probation period is extended 12 months.
Okay. And when was that signed and entered?
April 25th of 2024.
Okay. And so, as of just about 5 months ago, mom's been extended another year on probation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during this case, mom worked through her services, got out of ISF, had positive drug screen, but then worked through services enough to be reunited. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when did that reunification happen?
2023.
In 2023.
I'm sorry?
When in 2023?
October.
Okay. Thank you. Did we have a few struggles at the beginning of that reunification?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And what were those struggles?
There was miscommunication when for the visits and when she was supposed to pick up the children.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to find it in my notes.
Okay. Were there any issues with trying to get drug screens done?
Yes, and maintaining contact with the worker.
Okay. And this all happened right before you took over the case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you took the case over in November of 23.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did the reunification process go after you took over the case?
Started to see them weekly. She was somewhat difficult sometimes to meet with. I'm sorry. She, like, I'd send her to drug screen and she wouldn't have received the message, said she didn't have her phone or she left her phone somewhere. And then I did an unannounced visit one day and the children were left with a teenager. And then in January, she was positive for alcohol again.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, so you said that there was time when children were left in the care of a teenager. Had that teenager been approved?
No.
Did you even know that teenager's name at the time?
Didn't even know until I was there, and Alexis wasn't there. I waited an hour for her to come back, and she showed up, and then so I asked the child's name, and it was not okay for the child to be with a teenager, or the children to be with a teenager.
Okay. And did that happen on one occasion or more than one occasion?
For me, it was one occasion. I did have a couple of the workers fill in for me, and they would knock on the door and the children would be there, but mom would be, she came up from downstairs. So she wasn't present at first, but she was there shortly after.
Okay. Did y'all have multiple conversations with mom about the rules during reunification?
Yes, and we did an amended reunification plan after the incident with the teenager.
Okay. During reunification, did y'all have to do amended reunification plans more than once?
Just once that I knew of.
Okay, while you were on the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you mentioned that she had tested positive for alcohol. Is that correct?
Correct, she did.
Okay. And that's why while the children were in her care?
Correct.
Okay. And on exhibit, can you pull up exhibit number 8 for me that was admitted earlier?
Yes.
Okay. And it may take you a little while to get to it, but about midways through that business records, look for the date specimen collected 1/20 of 24. For me, please.
2024, yes.
Okay. And what is that test? Does it state the specimen type?
It was a urine.
Okay. And is this when y'all asked for a alcohol test?
Yes.
Okay. And can you read under the levels, can you read the numbers for me?
The first level was 37,976.
Okay. And what's the second level?
6,977.
Okay. And that was on an alcohol test that y'all have requested?
Yes.
Okay. After that, once that test came back, did y'all ask for a re-removal from the reunification process?
Yes, it took a while for it to come in.
Okay. And was that all based on multiple issues that have compounded up to that point?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did you feel it was in the best interest of the children to remove from mother's care?
Yes.
Okay. What happened? What was your process after re-removal? What happened?
So we evaluated her family plan of service and not totally redo it, but we adjusted it because of the recent removal.
Okay. And can you look at exhibit number 10 for me?
Which exhibit, Mr. Truck?
Number 10.
10, okay.
Do you have it pulled up?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, can you still not hear me, sir?
Every now and then I can see your mouth move every now and then you cut out for me.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. What is number 10?
It is a family plan evaluation.
Okay. And is this a new family plan and some services you needed mom to work on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And was this filed with the court?
Yes, it was.
Did mom sign it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And due to there being orders of the court for mom to work service plans, is this a type of amended service plan that you would do after the re-removal?
Okay,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Did I cut out?
I couldn't
Okay.
hear the last half of your sentence.
Okay. Is this type of service plan under the prior orders that mom work services or any amended services? Is this a service plan or amended service plan for mom to work?
Yes.
Okay. Did mom sign this service plan?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 10 as the service plans that were just testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 10 will be admitted.
And Judge, on this exhibit, I don't really know how to say this, but it appears on the very last page of this service plan, a drug screen from another case got picked up and scanned in and filed. So when these printed out from the clerks, that drug screen is attached at the back of it for some reason. So I just want to say, could we disregard that because that is to a completely different case, and I don't know how that got in there.
Council, any objections?
Objection.
Yeah, that clarifies the record that the last page is not pertaining to this case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Novak, since the re-removal back in earlier this year, what has mom been required or asked to do?
To provide any change in information within 5 days to St. Francis.
Okay.
To maintain regular contact with the caseworker. Maintain her own transportation. Maintain a drug-free lifestyle. Maintain stable housing. Stable and appropriate employment for 6 months. Individual counseling to discuss the reason of the recent removal. A psychosocial with counseling. Substance abuse assessment with an OSAR. Attend AA or NA meetings or celebrate recovery. And in that one, communication attend in AA, NA meetings or celebrate recovery and obtain a sponsor who will work with St. Francis Ministries in her recovery by communicating with St. Francis about her attendance and status of recovery.
Okay.
That she will participate in a 12-step program.
Okay. Are there services that mom has not completed?
Yes.
What are those?
I have not been notified if she has a sponsor.
Okay.
So that is incomplete. She has employment, but she hasn't always turned in check stubs. She did complete counseling.
Okay.
That's it, sir.
Okay. Has the mother been drug screened for you?
Not consistently.
And what do you mean by not consistently?
She did not drug screen for me in June or July.
Okay.
Of 2024?
2024.
Okay.
So here recent. So you haven't had a screen from mom since May?
May.
Okay. Have you reached out to her and tried to get her to screen?
Yes, I've texted. In June, I texted. In July, I texted and called with no response from her.
Okay. How has your contact with mom been lately?
I saw her face to face. She did come to the office and meet with me and my supervisor in June. I did not have good contact with her in July, between texting, asking when we could meet with no response. I did unannounced visits and I caught her at the end of July for 30 seconds for an unannounced visit. She stated that she had lost my number and I asked if her number was still the same and she said yes. And I was like, well, I've been texting and calling your number, haven't been able to get through. I don't know what's wrong there, but and then well, that was it for July.
Okay. Where is mom? Does mom have stable housing?
The last I knew that she was still living with her sister. Currently, she reported that she has housing that was her grandmother's house that I don't know if she inherited or she's purchasing it.
When has that been since? Like, when did that happen?
I am not sure that she reported that to the FSW. I have not been to that address or received that address from her yet.
Okay. When were you made aware that that is where she was?
Sorry, can I check my note? I don't remember the exact date.
Okay. Has it been in the last month?
It was just like either last week or the week before, just a few weeks ago.
Okay. Do you know how long mom had been in that house?
I do not know.
Okay. When was the last time you saw mom at her sister's house?
In July.
Okay. So in July, she was with her sister. And now she is, within the last couple of weeks, you know that she's been in another house. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is it, from the dates that you have, it's just safe to say within the last month, she has gone from her sister's to that house?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have the address for that house?
I do not. I believe the family support worker does, but I do not.
Family support worker didn't give you that house address?
He can.
Okay.
I haven't gotten it from him. He might have sent it to me earlier.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did mom ever tell you that's where she was living, or did you only know that through the family support worker?
Only through the family support worker.
Okay. How old are the children at this time?
6 and 4.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, 6 and 5.
Okay. And they've been in care for how long?
Sorry, Aiden is 4, so they're 6 and 4. I apologize.
Okay.
They have been in care since April of 2022.
Okay. So Aiden at 4 years old is been in care for a little over half his life.
Right.
Okay. And Aviana's been in care for about a third. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Has mom shown any change in her behaviors since you've been working the case?
I don't think she has.
Okay. And can you elaborate on that? Why do you not think she has?
She hasn't shown stability long-term for employment, a safe support system of who her children are around with her. She hasn't shown evidence of maintaining sobriety.
Okay. Speaking of sobriety, she's missed the last 2 drug screens. Are those considered presumed positives?
Yes.
Okay. Mom's reasoning was new phone, didn't have your phone number. Is that what you testified to earlier?
Those have been her excuses in the past.
Okay.
I don't know, because I haven't been able to have a conversation with her since the first part of June.
Okay. So you have no idea why she just didn't go in June and July when you sent her?
Right.
Okay. When you sent her, did she ever respond to any of your messages?
No, sir.
Okay. And so this kind of goes back to when we were trying to reunification, it was hit or miss whether she would go screen for us.
Yes.
So since around beginning of reunification back last year, we're still kind of having the same issues. Can you say that one more time? You kind of cut out.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Mom has not had stable housing for the last 6 months, has she?
No. Correct.
And to your knowledge, how many places has she lived in the last 3 months? Or, excuse me, the last 6 months?
2 would be her sister and the new place that she's at that I know of.
Okay. Before she was with her sister, where was she?
She had her own apartment.
Okay. And when did she move out of that?
I believe it was April.
Okay. So in the last 6 months, there's been 3 places that you know of.
Sorry, that correct. I wasn't counting that one. Sorry.
Okay. The job, you mentioned that she'd given some pay stubs, but hasn't lately. Where was she working?
She reported that she was working at Totem.
Okay. And when did you get, what pay stubs did you get? When were those from?
I got pay stubs from the middle of May and the first part of June I saw her in person in June, and I haven't had anything since June, the first part of June.
Okay. To your knowledge, do you know if she's still working there or not?
I don't.
Okay. Before the Toot and Totem job, was she working?
She said that she was doing odd jobs. I don't think she had an employer per se since January.
Okay. At this time, in your opinion, has mom completed her services or worked her service plan successfully? You have to say that one more time.
No.
Okay. And why do you feel that way?
She hasn't proven stability in those areas, and she hasn't completed all of them.
Are you asking the court today to terminate mom's parental rights as to both children?
Yes.
And is that based on one, failure to work service plans?
Yes.
Best interest of the children?
Yes.
Due to mom still being unstable in her living and, to your knowledge, her work life at this time?
Yes.
Mom has not drug screened lately for you?
Correct.
Which are presumed positive drug screens?
Correct.
And throughout this case, mom's been made aware that not going to drug screen are presumed positives?
Correct.
Have you had that conversation with her?
Yes.
Multiple times?
Yes, every time that I've sent her to drug screen and able to speak with her, I always remind her that that's a possibility.
Okay. Where are the children now?
In a foster home.
How are they doing?
They're doing well. They're starting school this week.
Are they hitting milestones?
Yes.
Developmental, they're doing well?
Yes.
Any medical issues with them?
Aviana will have a follow-up this month. I don't know if she's had it yet. For her hearing, she failed a school hearing test, and Aiden will have a follow-up for his vision. But I don't know the date of their follow-up, but it was for August.
Okay. Do you believe that terminating mom's parental rights is in the best interest of these children?
I do.
Is placement at this time, are they, is that an adoption motivated? Is it home?
I think they would be, yes, if they're available.
Okay. So that decision hadn't been made depending on the availability of adoption.
Right.
Okay. Is mom getting visits right now?
Yes.
Are they in person, virtual?
In person for an hour a week. Sorry, an hour a week.
Are they supervised?
Yes.
So after being in this case for over 2 years, mom is still at an hour a week supervised visits.
Right.
Okay. Does she make those visits?
Yes.
Will you ever have any issues of her making those visits?
There's been a few times she's missed or miscommunication, but for the most part, she's made her visits.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Barfield?
Thank you, ma'am. Let's just start out kind of where you ended. In those visits with mom, how do the mom and the children react to one another?
Well, they usually have them at a restaurant, and she, purchases food for them. They interact. We're all well with each other.
Okay. Do the children appear to have a bond with Alexis? And
I don't personally supervise those visits, so I can't firsthand say that what the interaction is.
okay, have you gotten any reports that the visits have gone badly?
No, I have not.
So based on that fact, do you think that had the visits gone badly, you would receive said report?
Correct, I would.
So do you think it would be at least safe to assume the visits have gone without incident, but we'll just phrase it that way, during those 1 hour visits at the restaurants?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that if the children had voiced concern or voiced the fact they didn't want to visit mom, that would have been reported to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this case, the children at one point were returned to mom, and we're not going to rehash that testimony, I promise. And then they were removed again, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so she has completed the majority of her services except for what you've already testified to. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and basically she has been, I believe you worded at times providing information to St. Francis within 5 days of any change of residency or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I would guess the most concerning part to you about this case is the missed drug screens in the month of June, July. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And so as we sit here, we don't know whether Alexis would be clean or dirty or what have you. Is that accurate?
Yes. I don't know.
Okay. That's fair. Now, when is the last time, and if you answered this before, I mean, it's getting to be a long day for me to, when is the last time you actually had communication with Alexis?
I saw her briefly on July 26th.
Okay. And I think you testified to that. I just couldn't remember off what the date was. And was that brief visit, that you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. Now, has she been able to find transportation for herself?
I don't know about her job, getting to her job and stuff. But for transportation for visits, we've been providing it for her.
Okay. So y'all have been providing visits so she could make the visits.
Yes.
Okay. Did you make that? Did you transport her, or did another worker transport her?
The worker, our family support worker.
All right. Thank you. Now, when was the last negative drug test in this case?
May.
Okay. And was that a UA or hair follicle?
It was a alcohol UA and a regular UA. They were both.
All right. And now your main concern in this case, it was the drug of choice, if we phrase it that way, would be alcohol. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you say that Alexis had not had stable housing in the past 6 months, what do you mean by stable housing?
Well, when she moved from her apartment, she moved in with her sister that I was aware of.
Okay.
And the children, like, she needed her own place.
Okay.
Being with her sister wasn't a safe place or a stable place.
Okay. Okay. And since then, she has since moved, to your knowledge, she has moved out from her sister's. Is that your understanding?
That's what I've been told, yes.
Okay. And I believe you've testified you've not had the opportunity to see her current residence, which I believe is her grandmother's house. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if she's employed at this particular time?
I do not, since June.
Since
do
June.
not know.
Okay. So the last time you knew she had a job, that was in June. Was that when she was working at Wendy's?
No, Toot and Totem is what I knew of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Did she provide pay information to you for that, or pay stubs, or were you able to definitely confirm that Toot and Totem job?
She had check stubs, pay stubs.
Okay. Basically, are you aware as of the last contact whether she was attending AA meetings or not?
Not knows. The last time that I knew that she had said she was attending AA was in June.
Okay.
And at that point, she stated she had not had a sponsor yet.
Okay. Is it sometimes hard to find a sponsor in AA or NA?
I don't know the answer to that.
Fair enough. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Morales?
No question, John.
Ms. Zavala?
Yes, Sherman. Okay, I just want to make sure I've got the timeline correct. These kids have been in care since April 1st of 22, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to that removal, Mom had worked a family-based case for a year.
From my understanding, yes.
And that originated when she drove with the kids in the car, intoxicated.
Yes.
So Mom has been working with CPS directly since 2021.
Yes.
When the children were placed back in her home, I want to talk a little bit about why they were removed. You discussed them being left with a teenager. And then there was a discussion with Mom that wasn't appropriate, and that the teenager's family member had bad criminal background and that was not approved, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then after that time, were there several times when the door was opened by the kids and the oldest person appeared to be a 9 or 10-year-old girl?
Correct.
And then mom showed up later from the outside?
Yes.
Okay. And this was after the discussion that a 14-year-old should not be the one taking care of them, but instead it was a 9 or 10-year-old?
Correct.
Okay. During that same time, were there concerns about the condition of mom's home? For example, feces being stepped on in the children's bedroom?
Yes, at times that was.
At about January 20th, she reported she was working at Wendy's, but when you called Wendy's, they said, no, she hasn't been working here since January 1st.
That is correct.
Right around that same time period, she was positive on an alcohol screening.
Correct, but we didn't know that until the end of January.
Okay. So it wasn't that the kids were removed just simply because a 14-year-old was there one day.
Correct.
Since that time of removal, re-removal, the kids have been in the same placement.
Yes.
Are they doing well there?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Are they happy and adjusted to living in that home?
Yes, they're bonding well with the foster family. They just fit right in. Every time I've seen them, they are excited to show me all the things of the home and their animals they have, and they just feel at home, or they seem to be at home from my perspective.
Okay. So after years in this process, the kids are settling in. Meanwhile, mom's just not really communicating much with you.
Correct. At times.
And the alcohol screenings in June or July just aren't a priority for her.
Correct.
Communication with you is not a priority for her.
Correct.
During the vast majority of their lives, have these children been a priority for her?
It doesn't seem like it.
Past witness.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry. Trying to remember if she's your witness. Yeah, Mr. Trout. I'm sorry. Been a long day.
Yes, ma'am. Just
Okay.
few questions, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, you've said a couple of times that you saw mom in the July, I think around the 26th of July. Is that correct?
Yes, July 26th.
And you said for a brief moment. Can you explain what you mean by that? Why was it only a brief moment if you hadn't heard from her in almost 2 months?
When I approached the home, there was a child outside and the door was cracked open, and I knocked and somebody said come in, but I didn't feel comfortable entering in the home. So the child outside pushed the door open, and it was like a living room, and Alexis was asleep in a bed under the covers in the living room, and she raised her head and saw that it was me, and she said that she was sick. And so I stayed at the door and I stated that, well, I've been trying to contact you, been wanting to meet with you. And she's like, and that's when she told me that she lost my number. And I asked her if her number was still the same, and she said yes. And I said, okay, well, I've been calling and texting your number. I don't know why it's not going through. And I told her I would try to meet with her the following week. Okay. So it was just brief.
Did she state did she make a comment about she had received the text or hadn't received them, or did she say anything about it?
No, no comment.
Okay. Has she reached out to you since then?
I did receive a text on August 2nd asking if it was me, and I responded yes, and then there was nothing after that.
Okay. I believe, let me see.
I've texted after that, but I haven't received anything from her since August 2nd. Excuse me.
Okay. And in your report, on this matter, says you texted twice and called once with no reply. When were those? Was that right after you left or a week or so after that conversation?
On July 18th, I texted and called and left a message.
Okay.
And on the 26th, earlier that morning, I texted asking just, her availability, but it was before I went to the home with no reply from that as well.
Okay. And just for our purposes, when you text somebody in your cases, in this case, Alexis, do you tell them who it is? This is Yolanda, and then, or do you just send a text that says something?
Up for you.
No, it's all right. Just tell me.
Yeah. I usually state my name just in case, just so they know. I say, hey, this is Yolanda, or at the end, I'll have my first and last name at the end.
Okay. So if somebody picked it up, it wouldn't seem like just a random text because you do tell them who it is.
Yes, and I address it to hi, Alexis, or hello with her name on it.
Okay.
I try to.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Barfield, further questions?
I have no other questions.
Okay. And Mr. Morales?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
No further questions.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Trout. Any further witnesses?
Judge, let me ask Ms. Novak one more question because I can't remember if I asked this or not because it has been a long day. Ms. Novak, I think we went over it, but you are asking for termination of the mother's parental rights.
Correct.
And you do believe it's in the best interest of the children to remain where they are.
I do.
And allow them to be adopted if they become available.
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll pass the witness now, Your Honor. Sorry.
Okay, anybody have anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, so Mr. Trout, any further witnesses?
Call Alexis Hasso, Your Honor.
Okay. Sasso, if you'll unmute for me. Raise your right hand. All right, I'm getting feedback.
Sorry, it's my internet.
Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give on trial today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Ms. Hasso, would you state your name for the record, please?
Alexis Hasso.
And you're the mother to the Aviana and Aiden that we're speaking of today, correct?
Yes, sir.
You've been here for the testimony so far?
Yes.
Okay. When did you move residences?
About a month ago, I've been trying to clean out my grandma's house because she had passed away. And so I was on, trying to clean it out to get it ready for me to move in.
Okay. when did you have you moved into it yet?
Yes.
When did you move into it?
A month ago. I had paid the rent for a couple of months so that I could, start cleaning it out and start moving my stuff in. But I just had to get rid of, her bed and her couches and stuff like that so that I could put mines in.
Okay. So if you moved in about a month ago, but you were at your sister's house on a bed a couple of weeks ago. So were you staying at both places or were you staying at one or the other?
I was staying at both. I was mainly staying at my sister's until I got my bed inside the house at my grandma's because I needed help to remove all her things out of her house. So that's why I was staying at my sister's, but I was going to my grandma's to clean it out.
Okay. Why haven't you notified Ms. Novak where you're living?
Because I've been trying to get a hold of her. I even asked the transportation guy that gives me my rides to go see my kids for her number. And so I texted that number because every time I trying to get a hold of her, I'm either at work or I'm just getting off. And so I texted and I didn't get no response. So I asked him again, are you sure that's her number? Well, I made a phone call because he didn't answer my text. And he had gave me the office number and not her cell phone number. So that's why she wasn't getting any of my texts when I was sending those off because it was the office number. So then he gave me her cell phone number and that's when I had contacted her. Is this Yolanda? And for some reason, I haven't been getting her texts or her calls.
So you haven't gotten any text or calls from her in the last couple months?
No, the only one I had sent was, is this Yolanda? And that's it. I haven't got any responses or anything. So I wasn't for sure what was going on. So I asked Tristan if he has talked to her.
Okay. You understand the concern because these are kind of the same excuses we've been having for over a year with trying to get in touch with you.
Well, no, because I've been trying to get a hold of her. That's why I was asking Tristan. Okay. Because I know they talk on a daily basis.
Okay. You still working?
Yes, sir.
Where are you working?
At Totem.
How long you been there?
Since this will be my 3rd month. My 90-day period would be today. So it'd be 3 months today.
Okay. Have you sent any verification or pay stubs like you're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last one you sent?
I could not remember because I had got a new phone. And so that's why I was trying to get Yolanda's number to give her those pay stubs.
Yeah. You've been working with the department for a long time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's fair to your children to have to be languishing in care for this long?
No, sir.
How long do you think they have to wait?
It shouldn't be. I was just incarcerated, so that's why it's prolonged.
Have you, you still on probation?
I am, and I'm the one that asked for the extension because of my situation that I'm going through.
When's the last time you drank?
It's been since May.
Okay. So even after your children were removed for alcohol, you still continue to drink?
No.
They were removed when? Removed from you when?
I believe in the end of June, or no, I don't remember. It was the end of one of the months.
You don't remember when your children were removed from your care?
No. I don't remember the exact date. I don't remember the exact date just because I was thrown. I had to do all these services, get a job, get a house. So that's why I just been having a lot going on. And then my grandma got sick and was in the hospital for a while.
You mean you had to grow up and be an adult?
No, sir. It's always been like this, so I've been trying to, keep it together.
So children were removed in the January 1st of February. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And you just said you drank in May was the last time.
I don't remember.
No, you testified a second ago that you last drank in May, is what you just told me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll ask the question again. After your children were removed, partly because you were drinking while they were in your care again, you still continued to drink?
No, I don't remember when the last time I drank. I've been going to AA, so I couldn't tell you. It's been a while.
Okay. So are you changing your testimony now as to when you last drank?
Yes, because I don't remember.
Okay. I'll pass the witness right now, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Barfield?
Thank you, Judge. Alexis, currently your grandmother's house, what is it, a home, house, apartment, condominium?
It's a house.
How many bedrooms?
It's a 2-bedroom.
Is it paid for, or are you having to pay, a mortgage? What's the situation there?
Well, I'm renting it, but before she passed away, the landlord was going to give it to her. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going to happen with it.
Okay, so your grandmother did not own the house, she rented the house.
Yes, sir.
And so the landlord allowed you to move in the house to take over your grandmother's payments.
Yes, sir.
And do you intend to stay there?
I do.
And and so it's 2 bedrooms. It's what we would call a single family dwelling. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anyone else live there with you?
No.
Did you notify the apartment when you moved into your grandmother's house, or attempt to notify?
Well, I was trying to get a hold of Yolanda, and when
yes or no question, Alexis.
Sorry.
Did you attempt to notify the department?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if the department received that communication?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. Now, how long have you been there?
This will be my 2nd month starting.
Okay. So you've had a stable job for 3 months at Toot and Totem, and you've had stable, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had stable housing in your grandmother's house for 2 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you've explained that you were having communication issues in communicating and getting your drug test done. You recall your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take any, what other steps, if any, did you take to contact anyone, or did you have any other contact information with the department to make contact?
I've tried. I got a hold of Tristan, and that's when I asked for her number.
And just for clarity of the record, who is Tristan?
He's the transportation guy that supervises my visits.
So earlier in this case, we heard testimony that you've been provided transportation to the visits with the kiddos.
Yes, sir.
And Tristan is the individual that you would transport you.
Yes.
Okay. And how often would that be?
Every week, once a day for an hour.
Okay. And where would those visits take place?
Either the park or McDonald's, whatever was appropriate at that time.
Okay. And in your opinion, how did those visits go?
Very well.
Now, have you missed any visits? Say, we're going to limit this to say within since May.
I missed one because I was working.
Okay. All right. Is that the only visit you missed?
Yes, and the only reason why I missed is because they changed the time on me.
All right. Now, you testified, and I was sitting here listening to it. You testified that the last time you had a drink was in May. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, but I wasn't for sure.
Okay. Well, was it since January? So after the kiddos were removed, did you drink at any time after the kids were removed?
No.
Okay. And I believe you did have a negative test in May. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to your ability to care for the kids, can you financially support yourself and kiddos and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you continuing to attend AA?
Yes.
How many meetings do you attend per month?
Well, I try to go every day, so I do like maybe 15 at the most because of my hours at work.
Okay. And just for curiosity, what are your hours at work?
I work from 3 to close, which is 1. And then some days I work from 5 in the morning to 3. Okay. So it just depends on what hours I get.
Now, there's no question your kids have been involved in this case for quite some time, and you agree that's not fair to them, correct?
No.
A bad question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do agree. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, are you asking, however, that you not be terminated today?
Yes.
Do you feel that you're in a place in your grandmother's house and with your job and attending AA every day that you could at least be a possessory conservator to stay in their lives and then attempt to get them back into your care at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my main goal right now.
Okay. Do you understand how that this can't go on forever? You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't want it to. It's hard for my kids and myself.
Okay. So you're asking the court to make you a possessory conservator today?
Yes.
Okay. Because there's no way the court could jump from 1 hour a week to giving you the kids back. You understand that, don't you?
I do. And it's not enough time. They wanted me to be stable for 6 months and only give me 2 months to get everything done.
Well, the case has been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I understand that too.
Do you feel you have a bond with your children?
I do.
Do you feel your children have a bond with you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel it will be in the best interest of your children to have your parental rights terminated?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that you can be a positive role model in the future for your children?
Yes.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, any questions?
I have no questions of this witness.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any further questions for Ms. Household?
No questions.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trout, any further witnesses?
I still got a couple of questions for Ms. Hasso real quick, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I won't have any other witnesses after that. Ms. Hasso, you said you've been going to AA.
Yes.
When did you start going to AA?
when they told me, well, I've attended a couple different ones, but when I started found the right one was in February.
Okay, so right after the children were removed?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a sponsor yet?
I do not, because they told me it's just, you can't just go and pick someone. You have to have a relationship or something to.
I understand. Just, do you have a sponsor at this time?
No.
Okay. And you made a statement a second ago, and Mr. Barfield kind of addressed it, but you stated that you only had a couple of months to get this stuff completed and to get your housing situation and everything stable. But you've had over 2 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that it was hard for your kids and yourself. But you again have had over 2 years, and all of this is based on you, on whether when you got your kids back, correct?
Yes.
This whole case depended on how hard you worked and how hard and determined you were to get your children back. Correct?
Yes.
The ball was in your court. You worked your services, changed the way things were going, and you could have your children back, correct?
Yes.
And in over 2 years, and essentially 3 years working with the department, you have yet to get to that point. Is that fair for your kids?
No.
Now pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Hassa?
Just one I forgot to ask, Judge.
Sure.
When you're since you don't have a sponsor, when you feel like drinking or anything, what do you do? What do you do to, instead of drinking, what do you do now?
I attend those meetings.
Okay. All right. And does that help?
It does, because then when I go, I don't feel alone.
Okay. All right. And do you attend the same place when you go to the meetings?
I do.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right. Anybody have any further questions for this witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout, does the department rest?
Department rest, Your Honor.
All right, and then Mr. Barfield?
We rest.
And Mr. Morales?
Rest, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, anything to present today other than your recommendation?
No witnesses, I rest.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I've been working with these kids for a long time. Being in limbo has been incredibly hard on them. They are in a great place right now. They are thriving and excited about the future. I do believe that it is in their best interest for parental rights to be terminated at this time. Kids aren't just a when my phone is working kind of situation, and they deserve to move on and have some permanency.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ball. All right, at this time, I find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of the children, Aiden Ramos and Aviana Villa, to terminate the parental rights between the children and their father, Elijah Castillo, based on his voluntary affidavit of relinquishment of parental rights under Texas Family Code 161.001 B1K and the best interest under Texas Family Code, section 161.001, subsection B2. I'm just looking back real quickly. My days, things are beginning to run together. I was looking to see if I had previously adjudicated him. Just a minute. I mean, he acknowledged in the relinquishment that he's the father of the children, but I just don't know whether I had dealt with that before. I'm looking.
Judge, I think we did. Look,
I don't think so. All right. He clearly acknowledged in the relinquishment that he is the father of the children. So I'm going to establish the parent-child relationship between him and the children, and then my ruling stands as to termination of those rights. My apologies for getting that out of order, but like I said, it's been a very long day. I also find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the children, Aiden Ramos and Aviana Villa, to terminate the parental rights between the children and their mother, Alexis Hasso, based on Texas Family Code section 161.001, subsection B1, the E and the O grounds, and the best interest under Texas Family Code 161.001, subsection B2. I'm going to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the permanent managing conservator of the children, and I will continue their current placement. I'll dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with the exception of Ms. Zavala, who will remain in the case. Our first review hearing will be on November 7th on a 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Hasso, I will just tell you that this saddens me greatly. I have hoped for 867 days that we would reach a point where it was safe for the children to be with you. All I can say is I wish you continued luck in achieving sobriety. Sadly, you have placed your children in dangerous situations on a number of occasions. And, your failure to drug screen or to go alcohol screen for us the last 2 months just kind of put me over the top because you have demonstrated over and over that you've got a problem with alcohol and a problem that presents a danger to children. And I just cannot in good conscience put the children back with you and go to sleep tonight thinking that all is going to be well and that they will be okay. They're little, they're 4 and they're 6. They don't, they have no ability to say, no, mom, no, don't drive, mom, or we don't want to get in the car with you. They're just too young for that. And so, I hate this. I really do. And I wish you luck in the future. I hope this will be a life-changing thing for you. And Ms. Zavala will, of course, keep a close eye on the children, and I'll see everybody back in November.
I have a question, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I going to be able to still have any visits with my kids or be updated on them?
Ms. Zavala, what's your feeling about a goodbye visit?
I want to make sure it doesn't turn into something extraordinarily traumatic for the kids. I would like to be able to see a goodbye visit. I would. So I just hope that everybody can remain calm and that be a positive and productive visit. But I'd like to see mom be able to have that.
Ms. Hasso, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of it. All these people know I'm not big fans of goodbye visits because they can be very difficult for you and for the children, quite frankly. But I will allow St. Francis to get that set up. It will, of course, be supervised. And if things become, you're going to have to go in there with an iron will and be positive for your children. And, if it's a meltdown, then, they're going to stop it because it's just too emotionally hard on the kids. So, I'm giving you just a heads up in advance that these things can turn very difficult in a big hurry. And so I'm not going to put the kids through an emotional ringer. It's going to be hard enough for them as it is. So I want you to think about this and decide whether this is really what you want to do. And, certainly you can discuss that with your attorney, and anybody else that you trust and trust their input on such a matter. But if you do want it, then you can let Ms. Novak know that, and they will get that arranged. But give it a little thought before you just
We don't have to give it thought. We want to
completely decide to do that.
Judge, may I say something before we get off the record real quick?
Yes, certainly.
Your question on had we ever adjudicated dad? He did paternity testing, and in the permanency hearing order from January 9th of 2024, he was adjudicated in that.
Okay, then I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, we did paternity testing back in 23, and we adjudicated him in that order from January of 24.
Okay, I just probably didn't have that note in front of me, and I'm sorry for the confusion. I thought that we had, but anyway, like I said, it's just been a long day, and
yes, ma'am.
So my apologies, and then ruling with respect to termination will stand on him.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. I appreciate everybody, and I hope everybody has a good evening, and I'll see everybody next week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.